GM. GM. So, trade of the day. I'm going to zoom out and show you guys what I think is happening. I think Ethereum is going for a massive run, but it's probably going to be choppy and a little bit messy along the way. And so this one is about zooming out for the next few weeks, I think, and not getting too sidetracked by the market. So the first thing that I think you should do is follow the daily trend, right? So after Ethereum eventually breaks out here, which probably comes, I don't know, I think 2,500 is still resistance until OPEX. I think 2,300 is support. And after that, obviously we might have a quick leverage dip around that time of OPEX, but I think eventually we rip through 2,500. It's probably not going to go straight up though, because Ethereum is quite crowded. It'll quite likely like grind up, right? Ethereum doesn't tend to impulse higher, but it does tend to just sort of march up. If you follow like a rough, I don't even know where you would do it. Could put it on this old channel, which was pretty good, that we kind of faked out below. Ethereum never gives clean trends. It's a great buy and hold. It's not actually great to trend trade if you're expecting nice pullbacks or bullish flags or pennants. It doesn't do any of that shit, right? ETH just goes up and then chops like fuck and then keeps going up. But a lot of it, it's easy in hindsight to look at this and say, oh, ETH's up only. Like a lot of it, like in here, is just a mess if you're trying to overtrade it, which same as Bitcoin, really. You don't want to overtrade them. You want to just really get long and ride the trend. And so your best friend for this is your daily EMA bands. Just look at how well it respected them all the way. And this was from October 2020 until February 2021. That's 5 months. You could have just traded ETH off the daily bands. Crazy, right? And so for 5 months, if you just followed the daily bands, you would have caught 470% increase in ETH before it eventually had a sell-off, which didn't even lead to the bottom anyway, but you get my point. So it is trending. As we're doing the exact same, right? So it is trending again since October, right? Same as 2020. And so do we go to February again? Wouldn't be surprised. Timing-wise, that would make sense. And so just keep following the trend, right? And so are we super overbought at this point? No, not really. We've just consolidated on the bands since December, all of this month, really. And it's finally starting to make a push. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, we'll wait for another dip into the bands. I don't know. It probably goes higher first, right? Then comes back to the bands, then goes higher again, then goes sideways. And it's just like, this is kind of the way that Ethereum moves. And then it'll finish with a big overextension. And then that's it, probably done for a while. I don't know, right? But I think 3,000 and above is totally possible for Ethereum because it's got all the way here with no over leverage, no hype, no blow off tops, nothing. It's actually just grinded up, flipped resistance into support, doing the same again. Quick false breakout, trap everyone, away we go. The next one to look at is the next SR flip. All right, so just keep it really, really simple. I think this level that we're retesting now, or testing currently, this is your future best entry price, right? Because the carbon copy of what we did over here. And this is like maybe where we are today. So maybe we dip back a bit, or maybe we're just on the push through. Who knows? We've consolidated long enough. So let's imagine it pushes through, right? Everyone then starts to FOMO in, and it bleeds them out and retests and goes again. You'll probably get that retest. You might even get it fast. Right? It might be more of a quick flush where it sort of grinds up, quick flush, grinds up, and that'll be right into the bands again. So if you get the bands along with this red line, Ethereum, honestly, you just need to, don't be greedy, don't over leverage, don't try and nail entries. Just buy a solid retest, right, of the bands or a support resistance flip. And really just buy it spot, because I think you'd be surprised. It goes a lot higher than you think. Like 25% up to 3,000 in a short space of time. That's not bad returns. This is going to happen over a space of a few weeks, and Ethereum could go a lot higher as well. Like, this is, if you try and overdo it, you're just going to get wrecked. You're just going to get wrecked. Don't overthink it. Don't try and overdo it. So, Ethereum, weekly perspective, looks amazing. Broke out of an 18-month range, right? Is consolidating at this point, chopping a bit. People are a bit, Ethereum is slow, but not when it gets going. This is an 18-month consolidation breakout, right? Sort of a rising, or sort of a triangle pattern, or if you drag it down to here, right? We faked out the triangle once, got above it, clean break out of it, bullish pattern, bullish market, bullish impulse, and ETH is just chilling here, and everyone's like shitting on ETH. So you've actually got a good setup on ETH, and it's probably time for it to make a bit of a move. So yeah, I think when it gets going, it'll surprise a lot of people, and it'll go a lot higher than people expect, right? I would look at total 2 for this, because ETH is going to suck a lot of the air out of the market, right? So total 2 is currently at 800 billion. And when ETH gets moving, Bitcoin will probably lag. So I think Bitcoin will have another leg up around the ETF, which will take the total cap up, right? And if we're looking at like total cap, if Bitcoin is another leg up, it probably takes us up into 2 trillion, right? That's probably where the total cap will push towards. That would be 20% for the total cap. That would be like Bitcoin going up another 10K, roughly. Which I don't think it will, by the way. I think it might, but I think Bitcoin might go up 6, 7K, and then obviously the altcoins rise too, and Ethereum rises. Total cap to about 2 trillion. I think total cap at 2 trillions is where you'd start to look at a local top for this, most likely. I would have said local top at 1.5, but we got to 1.5, right? Flipped it, consolidated for 3 weeks, and we're pushing higher, right? So, I mean, it seems fine to me. If Bitcoin does that, you'll then expect a big shift into Ethereum for Ethereum to take over and probably just fill up all this gap, right? Probably just move all the way back up into this area, which for total 2 is about 40%. And if the majority of that is on ETH, you go back to ETH and focus on it. Like 40% on ETH would be 3,300. So then looking at 3,000 ETH, right? Because obviously alts will go up too. I don't think 3,000 ETH is crazy at all on this push. I just don't think so. Like, people are looking at these moves, and you're like, we spent 18 months in this tight range, and this was basically $1,000 range. We spent 18 months between 1K and 2K, right? And so how can we not go from 2K to 3K? It's an equal sized range. I mean, we can easily go. Look how fast we went from 1K to 2K when Ethereum got moving around the merge. We can do the same from 2K to 3K. And then, right, it can go sideways for fucking months and years, right? It's like the upside probably comes all at once when there's momentum and there's bullish market, right? It's like the people calling for like downside or pullbacks or corrections, it's just not time. The dips you're going to get are leverage shakeouts, right? People will use too much leverage. That's why they will get wrecked. Yes. But breaking structure I don't see it happening, right? We've got weekly structure building on all these coins, and I think we go higher until some point at which, like, there has to be a level. This is the other thing, right? There has to be a level at which people want to take profit because, like I've been saying for fucking 2 weeks now, the Fed and the government and everyone is just saying more liquidity, more money printing, more, more, more. They're telling everyone to get long. Cool. So everyone will get long and they will get too long, as they always do. They will over leverage. That's normal. And we'll have dips, but a dip is not a break of structure. Too many people here are like, are people I say online that de-risking, taking profit, this and that. They're trying to predict the top. That's a fool's errand because we can just keep going up. And here's the thing. When it ends, it might be over for it could do this and leave everyone sidelined till May. And then we're done. And we don't go up again till the end of the year. Right? There's absolutely no reason why we couldn't do this. Just a violent move up. If you take this whole thing as a range, right? To rip past all of this and then all the way back to set up a breakout later on. You think, like, why can't that happen? Is there something stopping Ethereum from going back to 4,000 or 4,400? If you ask people where's it going, probably many of them would not say that. So there's disbelief there. There's probably more people who think it's going to go to 2K than to 4K. But it's broken an 18-month bottoming pattern. So unless this is a psyop and this entire 18 months was distribution, which it could have been over here and the market found support at higher low. It could have been over here and the market flipped that from resistance into support. So if you accept that this probably is not a psyop, this is probably not distribution, then it's accumulation. We've just had the monthly bands flip green. We're about to close a monster monthly candle outside of all that range, going into a halving year, a bullish year. And again, you have to think of high time frame accumulation, distribution, support, resistance, right? If resistance is getting broken, that's bullish. If the supposed bearish distribution pattern has made higher lows all the way since the Luna collapse, by the way, made a higher low even at FTX collapse, even when Bitcoin went lower, made a higher low again when everyone was peak bearish on Ethereum. If all of this is happening and you just accept one thing, that it's not a psyop, okay? It's not some whale manipulating. Maybe Ethereum is just actually going up after accumulation. So if you just say maybe that's it, then it's going to go back to where it was before, right? It's most likely done what it's doing here. And the thing with all crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, alts, look at Solana, when they start running, they just leave everybody behind because people want to wait for a correction or a dip. Then they get one, right? And it's either not the one to buy or they don't want to buy it. We can and will come back to these levels at some point, I'm sure. But when momentum gets going, this gets extremely reflexive. And so I think you just want to keep it simple. I think Ethereum's probably on balance the best bet for the next 6 weeks. Bitcoin, very good as well. I think Bitcoin might surprise people. It's definitely going to have a pump on the ETF approval. But typically, that money will flow into ETH after. So ETH probably has more runway, right? And ETH's chart, right? ETH has lagged Bitcoin. So ETH BTC has plenty of room to run. And it's starting to show some real strength. It's finally starting to show some strength on the weekly. And so I said this, if you haven't seen an Ethereum run, right? Ethereum can wipe all that out in a few weeks. and then go back to underperforming. Maybe that's the top for Ethereum. This is the other thing. ETH BTC could do that. Wouldn't be surprised at all if it did that. Because everyone will be like, oh, Ethereum's future final. No, Ethereum's got a big, momentum-driven, hated rally, overdue rally coming. And then once that's done, I'm done. I'm back into Bitcoin, into alts, whatever. I don't care about Ethereum. I'm not bullish Ethereum over Bitcoin, right? But it's pretty clear that it's time. If it's ever going to be time for Ethereum, it's time now. And so while everyone's panicking, I think it's time to think about what if, right? What if Solana goes to all-time highs here? What would you think? Can it go to all-time highs? It can, and I think it will. I don't know if it'll be on this push, but again, the thing about Solana is it's pure momentum. It's a pure momentum play. And so you have to look at it and say, wait, where does Solana go if it pulls back from here? Right? If this is the top, where does it go? Oh, it drops back down to here. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why did it spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, building a base below this previous big resistance, right? Huge resistance, support into resistance, built a base below that for 6, 7 weeks, massive breakout candle, only to just, retrace back down and then what? Consolidate nicely and then pump. But that's not typically how crypto moves, right? So I look at Sol and I think this weekly candle, sure, bearish weekly candle. Is that just a trap? Right? Is it just a trap? I don't think it's going to go this week. I don't think it's going to go next week. But if Sol is still here in like 2-3 weeks time, I think when it gets above 150, it's going to all-time high. This is the last big resistance I see. And so, yeah, Sol can easily spend, it could push up to here, it could trade within this area, right? It can definitely find a lot of resistance in this area. I'm not saying it's going to all-time highs, but I think it's more likely to go to all-time highs than it is to go to 50, right? I think it's more likely to go to 250 than it is to go to 50. So I'm also watching for Solana. I don't think Solana's done. I think everyone's going to say Solana's done. They're all going to call it dead. It's going to go sideways. It's going to consolidate. It probably has to build some kind of, it's only just starting, right? This is nowhere near ready yet. This is only just starting to build a base, right? It needs to do something like that, okay? But I think if it gets going again, you might be seeing a massive run. So Sol's on my mind too, but absolutely Ethereum is front and center. I think don't overthink it. And I'm going to draw a bunch of paths as well for how to actually trade it, because the way I'll break it all down in a separate video about trading it, having a core position in spot, and then trading around that. And I'll break that down for you. All right? GM.